Hello everyone and welcome to Johnny on the Spot on Channel 16 in Goffstown, New Hampshire, the best little town east of the Mississippi.
Yeah, if I can scoot them closer together on the camera.
My name is John Surratt, your host. The reason we're here today is to give our viewers an opportunity to find out how to care for their cars so it will not cost a lot of money later. We have here today as our guest Bill Surratt, owner of Billy's Tire and Battery. Hi,
Hello.
Bill.
Hello.
And Chris Connors.
Hi.
Hello, gentlemen. Moving right along in our show today, Bill, what are some of the things you should have in your car at all times?
Well, there's numerous things you probably should have in your vehicle. Depends on you know, the space involved and what you have. A couple things you should have in your glove box. You should always have your registration and your insurance certificate. You know, in case you have an accident or you get stopped, you need to have those things. As far as emergency type things, you should have you know, an emergency kit. Probably some washer fluid in the back, especially this time of year in the winter. Maybe an extra quart of oil. And that's, you know, that's probably the necessary things. And also, you know, make sure that you check your spare tire for air. You know, that's an important thing to make sure that you're ready for.
Yeah. How important is it, Bill, to have a cell phone, if you do have one, to carry it with you when you're in the car? Would that help you out, or?
Well, I mean, it really depends what kind of driving you do and where you are. I mean, if you, obviously this day and age, I mean, you're probably going to have 3 out of 4 people have cell phones. And I think that you find the older population now are getting into having a cell phone. And it's in a good emergency type situation. I mean, if you're doing just city driving and you're really local and you're in town, it's probably not as important as if you're if you do a lot of trips. And it's, you know, it's a nice thing to have, of course. It really depends if you can afford it, and you have to weigh those factors. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Chris, what are some of the things you should have in your car in the wintertime?
Like Bill said, you need to carry some extra washer fluid in your car. You never know when you're going to run out.
Yeah.
Maybe some sand or a small shovel, just in case you get stuck on a patch of ice. Really can't think of much else.
No.
Just
maybe
some safety things.
Maybe a flashlight or
flashlight,
something like that, or anything like that, or flares, or
maybe some
like that,
you know, extra antifreeze or water, things like that.
Cold weather driving can be a specialty,
Sure.
right? Okay, Bill, what can go wrong with your car in cold weather? A lot of things can happen with a car, I guess, in cold weather.
Well, I mean, a lot of things can happen. I think that the way the cars are built these days, and we talk about the old days and the new days, you know, the old days to me are the pre-80 cars where, you know, if we could remember when the temperature dipped below 0, I mean, most of the time, if your car did not turn over and start on the first couple cranks, you basically flooded the engine and you had to have it towed in and have to have the plugs changed, check your choke. You know, there's a whole lot of different factors involved in those pre-80 cars. I think that since the cars have gone to fuel injection and high energy ignition, I think that your chances of having problems in the colder weather, if you properly maintain your car, are minimal. You know, you probably have 40,000 to 50,000 volts of power going to your spark plugs versus the pre-80 cars. You only had 12 to 8, depends if you had points or not. So I do think that the cars run a lot better in the cold weather than they used to, and if you properly maintain your car, your chances are pretty good that it's going to continue to start.
Right.
You know, and if you a couple of cold mornings, if you feel that it's cranking over too slowly or it's not starting like it should, then you probably should make an appointment with a service facility to check out that situation. So the next couple of days it will go for you.
Right. Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Chris, you know, in the wintertime, there's a lot of ice and snow, and it gets on your car. Why is it important to shut off your windshield wipers at night before you shut your engine off? Because that could cause a lot of problems, couldn't it?
Yes, it could. We've seen in the past few weeks quite a few cars actually that have come in. What happens is the windshield wipers freeze down, and when you turn them on, they're stuck to the windshield, and they basically bend the arms or break the wiper transmissions. If you get in the car and they're already on, you don't have a chance to do anything about it. It just automatically comes on, bends the arms.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common occurrence.
Yeah. So it's good at night, so that here's a steering wheel, and the car's running, and your car's going to be parked outside at night. So what you do is you shut the wipers off first,
Yeah, be sure to shut your wipers off first,
and then
your ignition.
your ignition,
Right. Make sure the wipers park.
all the way down.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris. Bill, what are some of the things you can use to cover your windshield for ice and frost, especially if you're leaving your car outside?
Well, I mean, it's something that I don't do. And I think you're going to find that most people don't do that. But you could use a plastic or use a cardboard or something of that nature. But I think the real important thing to really do is to make sure that you do clear the ice and snow from your windshield before you start driving down the road. With the way the sun is angled up here in the north, you know, many times I'm sure we've all gone down the road and seen people squinting through that little hole in the windshield where your heater is gone. I think that we're all busy and we all need to rush out and get out. But the important thing to do is you know, if you have something to cover it, cover it. If not, make sure you give yourself, you know, 5 or 10 minutes ahead of time so you can go out there, scrape your windshield, get your car started, get the heat in the vehicle, get your defroster going so that by the time you leave, your complete windshield is removed from ice or snow.
Yeah.
That'll give you a better chance of not having an accident or running somebody over.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the sun, the way the sun comes in.
Right,
It's
I
very
noticed
bright.
in the wintertime sometimes, you know, especially when you do have ice and snow like that, you know, and you're kind of in a rush to get to work, and
Yeah.
it's very easily not to be able to, you know, not to clear the window like it should be, and thank you. That's a
see
very
squinting
important,
down, you know, looking through
that's
that
a
hole.
very
It's
important
good to have the whole
thing,
windshield taken
especially in
care
the
of.
winter.
Yep.
Okay. What are some, let's see, is there a difference between all-season tires and snow tires, Chris?
Yes, there is. There's actually a big difference. There's nothing like a snow tire in the winter. As far as tire's going to get its traction by clearing out or able to get rid of the debris from the tire tread. A regular summer, what they used to have, the summer tires, can't do that. Just a straight line pattern can't get rid of it. The jagged tires tend to eject the snow better.
Oh, I see. Because, you know, it's, you know, if I just looked at the situation and said an all-season tire, I might think, you know, that that tire that I have on my car is good for all season. Is that the case, or is there a specific thing? I mean, I know you just mentioned a couple things, but...
Yeah, it's okay to have in the winter, but it's not going to go as well as a snow tire.
So you can get a snow tire made special, you know, for the
Yep.
winter, for snow.
Yep. We actually, you know, see a lot of these newer studless tires that we're putting on cars these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, when most of the vehicles, probably 90% of the vehicles went
Yeah.
to front-wheel drive, the big push was just to have one set of tires for all year round. It's okay if you have a mild winter, but if you need to get out and you need to get going in the morning, you know, there's nothing like a snow tire when it snows, because that's what really gets rid of the debris. You know, if you don't have to go anywhere and you can get out, you know, get on the roads after the roads are plowed, you know, an all-season tire will probably maintain you through the whole year. It really depends on your driving habits and where you need to be. I find a lot of my customers that live on the outskirts of town, where they don't plow the roads as often. They need to get to their jobs. Well, you know, if they ask us what we recommend, we would probably say a snow tire, because that is nothing like a snow tire, like Chris said.
Right.
And an all-season is for the people that, you know, probably live closer to town. You know, if it snows, they don't really have to go out, they don't have to go anywhere, and that would be sufficient for the year for them.
You know, there's one thing that I know I've noticed. If I get a flat tire, which I don't get a flat tire very often, but there are some safety features when you do get a flat tire. And so is it better to drive on it to get to a flat land, or to change it on, or do it on a hill, Bill? I know there's a...
Well, like all, you know, that's sort of, most of the time it's an emergency situation. If you're driving the road, driving down the road and you have a flat, I mean, you could have your kids in the car, you could be wanting to go somewhere. You know, your first indication is probably you're kind of ticked, I guess, because you have a flat. And, you know, that may cloud your thinking at some point. So the best thing to do would be to step back, you know, take a look at the situation. You know, if you're on the side of a busy highway and cars are rushing by you, and, you know, is it worth it to go out and to change your tire with the traffic whipping by? Or can you take a chance, you know, maybe you'll ruin your tire driving it just a little ways to get it to a safe spot. It really depends on the situation. I mean, what you really want to do is get to a flat spot, you know, take a look so that your jack can work.
Right.
You know, get the car to jack up, and there is a proper way to change the tire also.
Yep.
I mean, once you do get it that way.
Sure.
The first thing you really need to do would be, you know, make sure you loosen the lug nuts while the tire's on the ground. Because if you jack that car up and then try to loosen the lug nuts, you can actually pull it right off the jack.
It might fall right off, and
Might
then you
fall
got a
right
problem.
off. So, you know, you really need to look at the situation, address your situation with a level head, and figure out what you need to do. Because, you know, a flat tire sounds minimal, but if you put yourself in a position where you could cause more harm to yourself or something else, and then, you know, that's why you need to think about it.
So it might be even better if you had a cell phone, you know, or something to call
Oh,
somebody.
that cell phone again.
And have them
Everybody
come.
loves to have a cell
I
phone,
know,
don't they?
I know, I know.
Yeah.
They could come right out and change it for you. You wouldn't have to go through all of
Yeah,
this.
we
But
wish
you
they
do
came
get
right
caught,
out.
You know, you can
Yeah,
get caught in this kind
doing
of
that,
stuff.
sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, the best rule of thumb is just take a step back for a second, think about what's going on, and then, you know, address the situation.
Yeah, because it can be dangerous.
Yeah, it can be dangerous.
Yeah. Chris, what can go wrong with your car in hot weather? I know we're talking about cold weather right now, but we do have quite a bit of hot weather for, you know, 3 months a year, 4 months a year, but
Well, this show's going to run for about 6 or 8 months, right?
yeah, I think so.
Could
but,
be a hot
you
weather
know,
one, couldn't it?
It might be a hot weather one. Yeah.
Well, you could get an overheating situation. Maybe your fans aren't working properly. If your tire pressures aren't right, you could get a blowout from the temperature change with the tires being. If you overheat a tire, that's not very good. Then you find yourself in a flat situation. Just basically, you're overheating, possibly. Keep your tires up. And I can't think of anything else. Any thoughts?
No, I mean, you know, once again, we go back to, you know,
Depends on the
cold weather,
situation.
hot weather, mild weather. You know, if you properly maintain your vehicle, you know, the chances of something going wrong are minimal with the vehicles that are made today. I just think that they're made better. I mean, obviously, any type of mechanical vehicle or contraption that you do have is going to go wrong. You know, even have a vacuum cleaner at home, something goes wrong. You know, if you don't change the bag, well, vacuum doesn't work. If you don't change the air filter on your car, well, your car probably won't work. It's something that small. So if you properly maintain your vehicle,
Right.
you know, the chances of having problems, you know, you reduce them to a minimum.
Well, thank you for your comments up till now. How about if we go to the garage and check some of these things out?
Yeah, why don't we get down in and check it out? Let's go for a ride, guys.
Location at Bill Surratt Tire and Battery on Mass Road in Bernardville. And today we'll be talking about hints on how to keep your car from breaking down. Today we have here with us, Chris Connors, Bill Surratt.
Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen. Why is it important to make an appointment when you have your car serviced, Bill?
Well, I think it's always important to make appointments, whether it be your doctor or be to your car doctor, to make an appointment prior to your scheduled maintenance occurs. It's always good for us to have a schedule during the day and during the week, so number one, that we have the proper people in place, and number two, that when you do show up here, we try not to make you wait too long, because we know that your time is important as our time is important. And just a note that, you know, if you have emergencies, as we all do, you don't wake up in the morning and when your car doesn't start, you know, that's a pretty critical thing, because we all know we all have busy schedules. You know, don't hesitate to call. You know, we always have room for those types of situations, and we'll do our best to take care of everything we can in that time span.
Well, thank you. You know, I heard on the news this morning, a groundhog did come out of his hole, and he did create a shadow, and I think we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter.
He
So
scared himself?
he scared himself.
Back in?
He did.
More winter for us.
Right. So here's some of the things that I think are very important to carry with you in cold weather, and we
Well,
have
one
some
is-
windshield washer solvent.
As you notice, this one is pretty much empty. It's probably because somebody had a situation on the side of the road where they pulled over and they had this with them, and they found out that they were out. Because, you know, in this time of the year, especially with the salt in the roads, you'll find that you go through a lot of this windshield washer fluid, especially on the highways and the regular roads. And it's good just to have one stuck in the back, so if you are going down, you don't create an emergency for yourself. You'll have it there, and obviously, I think someone did use it, didn't they?
Yeah, and I notice most of the time myself when I go to use that, I'm out and I'm on the road someplace. So it's always good to have that with you. Also, I think we have some antifreeze here.
Yes, we have
with
some
us today.
antifreeze.
And that's a good thing to carry in your trunk also.
It's a good thing to carry. You know, probably not as important as a washer fluid this time of year. But it's always good to have extra fluids in your vehicle. You never know, you may, you know, maybe forgot to check your fluids sometime during the last couple months, and you notice your temperature gauge going up. And an easy thing to do would be to check the fluid. But remember, never check your antifreeze fluid when your vehicle is hot. you could scald yourself, as I think I learned when I was a young man, didn't I?
Yeah, I think so, Bill. Maybe,
Yeah, I did.
because it is awful hot, and it's a good idea also to probably mix that with water, right?
Correct.
And keep a gallon of it in your car mixed with
What is
water.
the proper
and-
mixture, Chris?
50/50. They do sell antifreeze that is pre-mixed,
Correct?
that you don't have to mess around with. It's just put it right in the car and go.
And it's important to have it 50/50 because this is a heavy fluid, and if you don't mix it 50/50, two things happen. One of them is your vehicle will heat up slowly, slower. It'll also cool off slow. To have that proper mixture in your cooling system that's just the way it's supposed to be maintained.
Thank you. We also have one of these. I think everyone's familiar with one of these, but you know, a lot of times when I go to use it, when I need it, I can't find it. So is that a good idea to keep that?
You know,
so
I always
available?
find this in the summertime. In the wintertime, it just seems to be stuck under the seat somewhere, and it's very important to have this out, especially on a day like today, as we notice, it's been an ice storm out there. And it's very important for you to clean your windshield wipers thoroughly, because if you don't, some things can occur, and I think Chris will explain that.
Well, it's very important to clean around your windshield wipers because if they're frozen to the windshield and you turn them on, of course they'll break, which we've done several this week. Wiper transmissions just falling apart or wipers breaking. It's just a good preventive maintenance thing to make sure that your windshield is clear. Plus
It's a good winter tool.
Yeah, it's a good winter tool to have.
I don't think
Is there a little trick to make sure that your wipers don't turn on automatically in the morning after they're frozen?
Well, I
Or is it a good idea maybe to shut the key off or something at night, or shut the wipers off first? How does that?
You should always shut your wipers off before you
Before?
exit the car. If you don't, you just start the car, you won't know it right away, and they'll come on. They could be bending right away.
Thank you. We also have one of these. I mean, everybody's familiar with this, but I mean,
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen one before. I think Chris
No?
has, though.
This is a four-way tire iron. Has multiple sockets, so you can take different size wheels off of different cars. When you get it on the tire, you can take it and twist it. Or if you find it's really stuck, you could actually hold it with one side and push down on it on the other side, and it will break free your nuts.
is there a way the nuts come off, or is there some left-handed threads, some right-handed threads?
Some vehicles have left-handed threads, mostly on older Fords. Just the obvious thing to do would be is if it's not moving in one direction, try it the other way. It's
Yeah.
not going to hurt to try it if it's not
Right.
coming off. Make
Okay.
sure your wheels aren't over torqued also.
Make sure they're not over Okay. We also have one of these.
Whoa, where'd you get
Wow.
this from, Dad? I
Yeah.
think I remember this when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh, that's
a
where
good
it
thing to
went.
have at night.
You ever stuck inside your truck?
I might have. I
You
just
found
dug
when
it
you
out.
finally moved it out and put it into your new truck?
I dug it out. I dug it out for this show.
Well, this is just a regular utility light. It's really important, obviously, during emergencies at night. It's just a handy thing to have. You know, if you have a flat tire, or if you want to look for something in your car, you never know. Maybe that snow brush is looking for you. Plug it in the lighter, you have instant light. See, that's it's been a long time for that one.
That'd be handy at night, on a
Yeah.
cold night, if you happen to have a flat, and you know you could take that light out there and you could. Okay. We also have one of these too. This is something new that came out a while ago. It's
Yeah, it's a Phillips 66
ice scraper,
ice
right?
scraper, yeah. It's very handy. It's, you know, when you wake up in those mornings and you're really cold, you want to freeze your hands off you. Stick your hands in this warm glove and scrape away.
And you probably can buy them probably at service stations and
Yes, you.
at auto parts stores or whatever. Thank you, Bill. This here, I'm sure everyone probably is familiar with these, but there is something delicate about these, and they could be dangerous. Could you just tell us a little bit about that?
This is a pair of electrical jumper cables if you have a dead battery in the vehicle, and that can occur. You know, you may have forgot to leave your lights on, or you may not have checked your battery in a few years, and you get out one cold morning, your battery's dead. And I think Chris will explain to you how these are properly used. Chris?
You want to hook up the dead batteries first. Make sure there's not a lot of corrosion on your terminals. You want to hook up the positive cable first on the dead car, then the negative cable. Make sure you have a good connection. Give them a little tug, make sure they're on there good. Then you would go over to the charging vehicle and hook that one up the same way. To remove them, make sure you take the negative off first, and then the positive, and you'll be on your way.
And if you have any reservations at all about not knowing how to use these, you know, just maybe if you have a AAA or if you have a road service company, call them, because if you do hook up these backwards in an improper way, you could blow the battery, or and that would incur some injury upon yourself.
Least but not least, in some of the items is a good old snow shovel.
That's one
And
heck
I
of a
think
little
everybody-
shovel, isn't it?
Everybody knows how to use this, but in a pinch,
In a
a little
pinch.
shovel in your trunk.
Yeah. You
You
know,
know, might,
can never have enough little shovels in your trunk.
you know, we've mentioned and we've shown you, our viewers, a few of the things you can carry in the trunk, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things that you could carry, but these are some of the essential things. And,
Yeah, I think it's good maintenance.
good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Chris, how do you open the hood? I'm sure there's different ways of opening the hood on cars.
There are many different ways to open the hood. Generally, there's a labeled hood open underneath your steering column in that general area. You can consult your owner's manual if you're not sure of where it is. And when the hood pops, you come out front of the car, and there should be a safety latch to hold the hood from popping up on you if something happened inside the car when it's going down the road. You can generally slide to one side or the other, or it may have a lever that picks up. Generally, they're all in the center of the car. Some of them have different spots. You can consult your owner's manual as well for that. Make sure your hood prop is in place if you have one, so it doesn't crash down on your head.
That's an important safety feature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially on Chryslers.
Especially on Chrysler. I think maybe I was talking with Bill or Chris about that, and my head still hurts. So anyway, thank you. Bill, what are the most important things that a person should check under the hood on a regular basis?
Well, I think for
If you would.
Yeah, I think for proper maintenance, a few things you should always check. You should check your engine oil. That's really just ensure shut your vehicle off. Go out, have a rag in your hand, take it out once, wipe it off, and put it back in. Pretty self-explanatory on the dipstick. You can check your antifreeze visually. Most vehicles these days have an overflow bottle. You never ever want to check your antifreeze while it's hot, because antifreeze is under pressure. Open it up under pressure, it can cause slow. You have your windshield washer fluid, as we went through earlier. That's another visual thing. You just look inside the water bottle. You always can take a good look at your brake fluid. You can just look at the level. Once again, a visual type situation. There's nothing to take a look at. And you have your transmission. Those are the three or four, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major things you can do quickly. You can do it within 30 seconds. It's not a hard thing to do. When you get in the habit of doing it, it'll probably help you from having some type of emergency later on down the line. You can do that regular visual inspections of your vehicle.
So, Bill, how often should you check your oil?
Well, you know, if it was me, it depends on year vehicle you have. I think what happens is with these newer vehicles, you know, they run so well and they don't have oil leaks like they used to in the old days, we call them. You know, we probably don't check them as often as we should. I guess what happens is after a while you get to know your own vehicle if you drive it every day. So if you check it, you know, at the beginning a couple times a month and you find out it doesn't go down anywhere, maybe 1,500 miles, give it a check. It really depends on how comfortable you are about it. You know?
And there again, you check your maintenance manual and
You check your maintenance manual, it'll explain to you how to do it. One thing that people maybe don't know much about is that in the summertime when your vehicle runs and the air temperature is warm, you will use more oil, because oil actually acts as a coolant also in your engine, besides the antifreeze. So when it's really hot, in the summertime, you get those 90 to 100 degree days, which we have once in a while. That's probably more important to check a little bit more often. If you do a lot of highway driving,
right.
you know, if you do a lot of city driving and you're just putting around and putting 100, 200 miles a week on it, well, that's something that you need to find out for yourself.
Is there a difference in the oil maintenance book that you've seen that you probably have to change your oil more often in the winter than you do in the summer? And is there a reason for that?
Well, I mean, what happens in the summertime, you probably don't have to change it as often, probably 3 to 5. In the wintertime, if you don't do much driving, you still want to do it, probably a little under 3, because in the wintertime, your engine runs a lot richer because it stays colder for a longer period of time. So, you know, and the other thing is with the new vehicles, a lot of them go on rotations of the engine now. So, you know, a good rule of thumb is 3,000 to 5,000 miles. If you continue with that, I'm sure you'll find a long life of your engine.
So, Bill, Where's your transmission fluid dipstick? Is
I'm
that a
gonna give this
particular
over-
place right there?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this over to Chris.
Yeah, okay, maybe he can just,
Yeah, he can show us where it is.
You'd be here on this vehicle, right behind the air filter box. Many vehicles have them in different places. We pour them on the transmission end of your vehicle. Sometimes they come up the back, but your owner's manual will tell you where it is. Some of the vehicles have markings on the front. This one doesn't, but some of them have a color-coded marking on the front, which will tell you where and what fluid goes where.
so ordinarily transmission fluid, is it a certain color?
Generally, it's red.
And is there a certain way that you gotta check it? You can't just,
Yeah, you want to check it generally with the vehicle running at an idle, warm. You want the fluid warm inside, so leave it running for a few minutes and then check it while it's running in park at idle.
is there a problem with transmissions if you overfill them or anything like that? Or could there potentially be a,
Potentially, there could be a problem. You could blow out a seal. Transmission fluid is flammable, so when it does, if it overfills and you create a pressure in the transmission, it could blow out and actually start a fire.
so to have the transmission checked, usually probably it's good to go to a service center and have it done? And
Yeah, you
Have it
should have,
checked.
it should
And,
be checked every time you have your oil changed anyways. But if you were confused or didn't really understand how it worked, you can just come on into, any of your service stations will do it for you.
Don't hesitate, it just takes a minute
yeah.
and,
Because, the reason why I think it's so important too is probably that, with self-serve gasoline these days,
correct.
things don't get checked as often, and that's more reason why you should go to a service center and have things checked out by certified people like yourself. Okay. Thank you. Okay, how often should you change your transmission fluid? Now, that's something that probably doesn't say on the stick there, Bill, but,
No,
I
but
know that there's an element there that needs to be taken care of, and it's very important. You just,
I think it's a different element. When we go back into the 70s and 80s automatic transmissions, most of them did not have overdrive. So we'd really just shift from low, second to third, and then off you would go. But with the newer vehicles, with the economy, with the gas mileage, which everybody wants to occur in their vehicles, most vehicles now have an overdrive transmission. And what happens there is that your transmission shifts more often during the course of an upshift and a downshift. So in your owner's manual, you're going to look, they're probably going to be between 30 and 40,000 versus the old transmissions. We probably didn't do them until 50 or 60. So it's really important to check your owner's manual and follow the guidelines that your owner's manual tells you to do.
because it only stands to reason that if